I'm Gold Derby editor Daniel Montgomery here with Full Frontal host Samantha Bee. This has been a, shall we say, eventful year for topical
Yes,
comedians.
it truly has.
A little bit.
Mhm.
For Full Frontal specifically, since the show started airing in the election year 2016, this
Mhm.
is actually the first year that Trump hasn't been looming over the news cycle in the same incessant daily tweet storm kind of ways before. Of course,
Yeah.
he's still looming, but not quite as ever present.
Oh, yeah. No, he's not like lurching behind us on the debate stage, just like hovering over us at all. I am fully ignoring him for the most part. It's wonderful.
Has it felt different working on the show, like week to
Yes.
week?
Oh, in the best possible way. The best possible outcome for America, best possible outcome for our show in particular. If I can be selfish for a moment, it has been great for us. And I say that unreservedly. Like, I know there was like a lot of conversation about how will the shows adapt when Trump is no longer in power. And I feel like we instantly adapted to a slightly better world, to a world of greater hope, to the promise of like slogging our way out of this pandemic. Like the whole thing has just been a straight up improvement. To 10 thumbs up. 10 out
Yeah.
of 10 would repeat. Yes.
Yeah. And the thing, like, I remember, like, especially early on during the Trump era, where people were like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
this must be great for comedians. There's so much
Sure.
material." But like, just watching it, it feels like no. It feels like no. It must be more exhausting than it is great. And it's also so hard to make comedy about someone who is also such a self-parody.
Well, that's very true. And as I've had a little time to kind of reflect on it, I think that when he was running for president, it was great for comedy because his campaign was so ridiculous and such trash that and it never seemed possible. So that actually was actually a wonderful time period within which to launch a show, no problem. But when he became president, the tone certainly changed. Like right away, he started doing things that were extremely destructive to the world, to the people to the United States. It was so horrific, like right out the gate that, obviously we made comedy with it, but it wasn't our preferred context for having a comedy show. I don't think any of us were like, this is great for us. It's worth it. Definitely worth it. It just was not worth it.
And this past year, of course, with the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
the show shifted from the normal studio show to at
Yeah.
first doing the show out in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
What were the biggest challenges of that? Not just like both logistically and also like performing without the benefit of that audience feedback.
Uh, it's very different to perform the show just down the barrel of an iPhone into your husband's eyeballs. That your husband of like 20 years. It's a different experience. Or like at first, we had our kids like holding the bounce card and stuff like that. And it is, and it's quiet out there. There's just crickets, like literal crickets, and dragonflies, and standing on an anthill, and the ants crawl up your leg. Like it definitely was an adjustment for sure. But I got used to the rhythm of it, and I really didn't. I really did come to enjoy it. There's nothing finer than working, doing the job that you love in a beautiful, like in a beautiful natural environment. I think generally I prefer doing it in a studio that's a little more controlled. And then if there's a tornado, it doesn't affect you, which is a bonus.
Yeah, always a bonus not to be affected
Yes.
adversely by tornadoes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And with the Emmys coming up, I feel like Jason and your kids should be like eligible for like best technical direction or best lighting.
Oh, they agree with you completely. They endorse what you just said fully. I try to keep my kids in the dark about all that stuff. Please don't tell them
Yeah.
that
Make sure they
exists.
don't watch this.
Yeah, no. I will make sure.
And you've since moved back in the studio, still
Mhm.
without the audience. What is that? What was that transition like? What was that decision like to make that step back?
I started thinking about that pretty early in the process because I knew that I actually am a pretty good pre-planner, and I was feeling it out there, like mowing the poison ivy to prepare to be able to do 4 acts of comedy in the forest. And I was like, I feel like I don't want to still be doing this in November. Like when the wind is whipping through the trees and all the leaves come down and it's pouring rain. Like we didn't, it was fine doing it in the spring and coming into summer, but I knew that once fall hit, it would actually be very difficult to do. And we didn't really know what state the world would be in. So we started investigating, getting a smaller studio that was just a little bit more compact that we could control ourselves. Because previously we had been in a really large, cavernous soundstage that we shared with multiple shows. So we really only had the space one day out of the week, and they would shoot 6 other shows per week in there. And we just had no idea, like COVID protocols were constantly changing. We couldn't even get into that building. So it made sense for us to get our own space that we fully were in command of, so that we could set our own protocols, minimize the number of people in there. And so we've continued in that vein ever since.
And how's the writer's room been over the course of this period? Is it still virtual? Is that still happening on Zoom or some sort of hybrid education format?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, definitely. Yes. I do expect that we'll be, we're starting to shoot more normally. We're going out in the world. We went to Rwanda. Like, we're doing things in a much more pre-COVID way now. And so I do expect to put my eyeballs on the people that I work with again in the future. That is my hope. I don't know that I don't know that any workplace will function exactly the same way that it did pre-COVID. I doubt that all 65 of us will all be in the same place at the same time again, unless we have a great big blowout party, because remote work has been really efficient for us. We've learned a lot about how to kind of scale down our processes and stuff. And so there's definitely lessons that we will take away from that. So I doubt we're not going to like revert back to like everybody in all at once. Let's all be together in a big all hands meeting in one room all together. So I don't know what that will feel like, but it will probably slightly normalize in the fall.
And as you said, you went to Rwanda, which was
Yes.
recently announced. What's traveling for the
Mhm.
first time on this big trip since COVID? Was that a lot of just anxiety in terms of because like I'm vaccinated, but I'm still like I still keep 6 feet apart from people where
Right.
I can.
And I think that's probably advisable. Like I definitely thought, because you have to plan these things so far in advance. And I knew that we definitely wanted to get out of the studio and out of the office. And we wanted to like expand the visual world. Like, we've been so used to Zoom meetings and Zoom shoots, and we're gently edging toward more normal looking shoots and stuff like that. And that is great. And that is very welcome. But we really wanted to blow it out. And so we researched countries that could get access to, that we could get a travel visa to, that had a good handle on their own COVID. We're all fully vaccinated. And I really just decided at some point to buy into I was just like, I believe in my vaccine. I'm all for science. I don't think it's going to, I think we'll all be fine traveling. And I think that for the most part, airlines and airports have a handle on it. Everybody's masked. And that is really that is what I witnessed. Everybody was masked in every airport that I was in. Everyone was masked in Rwanda if they weren't fully vaccinated. So I actually found it to be, even though it was a lot of travel, it made me feel very confident and comfortable traveling in the future. As long as everyone around you is behaving safely and cautiously, I think it can be a very good thing. And it was a good thing to go. I'm so happy that we went.
In addition to that, since the pandemic with the logistical difficulties and
Mhm.
the political difficulties of the last year, are there segments or episodes of the show that you've been most proud of during this unusual year?
Oh my gosh. I'm so proud of the work. I don't know. I'm so proud of the work that we do on the show. Now, at the moment that you say, what are you the most proud of? I can't think of a single thing that we've done. I really do love every episode of the show. I love the people that I work with. I love our writers and producers. And I wish that I had like a list of 10 things right in front of me that I'm proud that we did. My God, we did. Well, first of all, I can't believe we went to Rwanda and we have done. Did you know that we did a VR field piece there, which will launch on the 30th, that I think is like represents a technological advancement, an interest, like I think it's so creative. Oh my God, what did we just do? We did a piece on we did sorry, what did we do last week? I don't even remember.
Oh no, time means nothing anymore. I
Time
totally
means
understand.
nothing to me.
Well, you did do a few weeks ago an entire episode on guns, which surrounded that whole topic.
Oh my God.
Not a fun topic, but I wondered
Yes.
what went into that.
Thank you for
Yeah,
rescuing me.
that decision to do that show, an entire episode around that topic.
We were kind of coming off of a long series of incidents of like well reported gun violence. It was just like one every day. It was like mass shooting after mass shooting. And we came off of that period thinking like, what can we do that is, what can we do? Like, how can we explore this subject? We've done lots of segments on individual instances of gun violence, but we haven't really explored it in an overall way. And so it just felt like the timing was right for us to dig into that subject matter. Not fun, but I think that the writers and producers did an absolutely incredible job on that special, and I'm super proud of it. I am super proud of it. And another segment that I'm so proud of is we did a segment on Reality Winner. We did a segment where we explored her case and and really what it meant for America. And then since that, I mean, listen, we're not responsible. We are in no way responsible for her actually being released from prison. I don't claim that. People have been working for years to get her out. We owe her an incredible debt of gratitude, but I am happy to have been, on the side of justice when it came to her case.
And with everything happening in the news and all of that, and having to cover it, what are some of the non-political things that you have enjoyed that keep you sane, that you're able to find kind of solace in between finding out what Donald Trump or Joe Manchin did on a given day?
What are the things that keep me sane? Well, first of all, my children keep me very grounded in reality. Like they definitely, you don't get to take a minute off of regular life when you have kids running around trying to do remote school and stuff. What brings me sanity? I think when I'm like just those moments of peace when I'm driving by myself, when I'm cooking for my kids, like when I'm cooking for myself. I am such a homebody, so it's easy for me to amuse myself in my own world. But it's a lot easier now that Donald Trump is no longer the president, which is not to say that we are like out of the woods when it comes to democracy. We certainly are not, but it is not like just him being off of social media alone is like a daily meditation for me.
And in addition to the show, you also have your podcast, Full Release. And as a consumer of news, I often find the podcast format, listening to it, very kind of loose and open, and a way to kind of take in information, in a different, helpful way.
Yes.
What is it that you get out of that in terms of like what do you like about that format in terms of getting to go in like long form with people?
Well, just as you've described it, it's you end up when you're making a show, like when we air our show, we only have 21 minutes. So every interview that we have to do is just like pared down to the absolute essentials. So it is really fun. I love to interview people. I love talking to people. It is really fun for me to be loose and just to be open and have like a more wide-ranging conversation and actually follow my own interest and curiosity in a more long-form way. I love it. I really, really love it.
And last year at the Emmys were held virtually, and you were nominated in all the variety series nominees.
Yes.
Got that mystery box.
That's right.
And you posted the segment
box
online where you're trying to pry the thing open because it didn't open automatically.
Yeah.
Are you excited about an in-person Emmys or some sort of hybrid? I honestly think it's still too early to tell exactly what format it'll be, but
yes, too early to tell, a little too early to tell, but it would be really nice if it was in person. Can you imagine? It will feel very restorative, I think. So I'm fingers crossed that a couple of months from now, things will feel even more normal. We can all go to Rwanda together.
And they can hand you your champagne in person.
That's right.
Or fingers crossed, the Emmy and the champagne.
I want that champagne and I want that sword that like chops the top of it off. I'll practice that for the first time in front of lots of people.
Well, I want to congratulate you on the show, on the Rwanda trip as we're recording this. That's set to air on the June 30th.
Yes.
In case any people are watching this before or after, I'm sure they'll be able to watch it online after the fact. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.